Wow. I mean, that's all I can say is wow. I am shell shocked. I have just experienced this film that has caused, stress, emotion, to high tense, holding of my breath to see what's going to happen next, y'all. It's probably one of the most amazing, captivating things I've seen in a long time. Y'all, welcome to the page. This is DeAndre Mack in the building. And yeah, I just finished this amazing, amazing film called Society in the Snow, just released on Netflix a couple days ago. And I did not expect to see what I was about to see. Now, one thing about these films, when I get into them, I don't look up spoilers. I don't check out reviews and everything before, things get started and whatnot. Hold on, gotta plug in the computer. Yeah, I don't do all that. I kind of just go into it. Oh, let's see what's going on. It's a new release. Let's see what's popping. This film had me shook. I mean, so many moments I was just I sometimes I had to look away, and I can take some gory things, but I ain't never seen nothing like this ever. And the fact that this story is over 30 years old, I'm like, how did I not know about something like this? Because this is kind of the stuff that I'm very interested in, survival stories and mixed with, big overcoming of heavy situations. But this story seems like it was hidden for some reason. I'm surprised I didn't hear about this growing up in elementary school, history class, something. But wow, this was intense. And we gonna get into it, y'all. We gonna get into this film. I mean, the actors, before I even get into it, did an amazing job. The director did an amazing job. The cinematography was on point. It, 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 this was the best movie I've seen so far in 2024. I know we're only about 7 days into it, but this movie, it was hard to watch, but it definitely brought you in and made me feel like I was there with them. I mean, it's cold and, freezing here in New York as well, but it was just crazy. But we can go into get into it, y'all. So the movie starts out, Call Society the Snow. Never heard of it. Turned it on and they're speaking Spanish. I was like, oh, okay, like, they're gonna start, you know, speaking English soon. Nah, they speak Spanish the whole entire movie. Disclaimer, also, if you ain't seen it, don't watch this if you only spoiled because we get into the deep depths of everything. Because it was crazy, y'all. It was crazy. And very sad. But yes, they're from Uruguay, which I didn't even know where Uruguay was. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I'm pretty good at geography and I'm well traveled, but I ain't never been to South America. And I know like Chile, Argentina, Brazil, but Uruguay, I'm just like, Uruguay. I know Uganda. Uruguay? Yeah, I was like, I don't know. But yeah, they're from there and it initially starts out with they've got these playing of a rugby match. And they're I don't really play rugby, watch rugby, none of that. It's interesting. But they were doing the damn thing, and we get told it's 1972. So I'm like, okay, we flash back a little bit, way before brother was around. And I do see that it's told by on a true story. I see that beforehand. So like, okay, this stuff kind of happened, but usually when they do these biopic films, they change a lot of what really went down. So I went in there kind of like, okay, like let me not get too invested on everything because it could be very skewed about what the truth actually was. Soon did I find out? No, this stuff really was how it went because I did a lot of researching after the fact too. But yeah, they're playing this rugby match. They end up losing because one of the main guys was trying to be a ball hog. He was trying to be Kobe in the fourth quarter and couldn't come through in the clutch. And yeah, they lose the game. But then they're just with their families and talking. And at the beginning of the movie is kind of just filler to an they're just giving the backgrounds, like who everyone is a little bit. They don't really get in depth of everyone, um, who everyone is. They kind of just go through it. But then they have this. They get on this plane. They get this plane essentially because they want to play this match in Chile against this other club team. Now the people on the film, they get this private plane. It's pretty much a private plane. It can fit about 40 people on it, 50 people on it. And they get on this plane and head out to play this other match against the people in Chile. And so they get on this plane, and their friends and family are with them too. And when watching this, I'm like, it's hard to kind of keep track of who's who. It's really hard to keep track of who's who at the beginning because there's just so many people just popping in and out, and to be honest, I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was lost. I was like, what is happening? But yes, they get on the plane, and there's more. It's mostly men. There's maybe a handful of women that get on this plane too. But it seems like they all know each other. They're all talking to each other, friends, family. To take a big picture on the plane before they get on. So I was like, oh, okay, they gotta know each other. And it's it's the rugby team, and it seems like their friends and family is on there as well. Now they get on this plane, takes off, seems to having a good time and whatnot, and they're flying around, joking around and whatnot. They take some pictures. And it's cool because when they do take these pictures, it kind of like stops a little bit, and it seems like these are real pictures just based on the cinematography of things. So that's a really nice little touch that they do on there. And they soon hit the mountains, and you see them flying over the mountains. Now, when I'm watching this scene, I was like, oh, I had to buckle in my seatbelt. I was like, Coach, here we go, because this was out to be, a 9/11 experience. And when they're flying, I'm like looking, I'm like, dang, they're pretty close to those mountains. And they were getting real close. And so they're flying over the Andes Mountains. So I'm not super familiar with the Andes Mountains. I mean, they're similar to, the Himalayan mountains or maybe Mount Everest, or the Rocky Mountains. I'm not a mountainologist or a mountain researcher or anything like that. I'm not familiar with the depths per se, but I just know the Andes is a huge range of mountains. I do know that for a fact. And if you get caught up, you're gonna be caught out in SOL. But yes, they're flying, and the pilots like are panicking, panicking, panicking. They turn on they tell everyone to get calm, but then a lot of turbulence starts going on. I was like, oh snap, these pilots messing up the game plan. And initially, I'm like, look, if the pilot, I think they're trying to like veer up real hard, but it just doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't work. I'm wondering why they don't just slowly kind of go up, and why they were so close to the mountains in the first place, because you're not about to land anywhere by the mountains. So that was like, why would you be flying so low in the first place over mountains? You should be way higher up. But I don't know, y'all. Look, I ain't a pilot either. I don't know how to fly planes or on an aircraft carrier, anything like that. I just ride them. But yes, they soon hit this top of this mountain, and the plane has the two wings pop off, and the middle part and the front part kind of go off, and then the back part, like here's the middle part of Jesus. Excuse me, y'all. Here's the middle part of the plane, and then the back part comes off a little bit, and the front part keeps going. And some of the players fly off of the back part. And I'm like, ah! And I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, you could see them fly off this thing, and I was like, what the hell is going on, coach? It was crazy. It was like they got swept up like by a tornado, and so the plane crashes, and then everyone just goes to the front side like dominoes. It was the chairs, it got pretty graphic. This part is when I was like, oh, this is real. Like it was getting graphic. People's heads was getting smashed. There was one scene where somebody's ankle completely like breaks, and it's ankles goes like this. I'm like, you can hear the sound effects. Y'all, it's a lot. This is, and I was like, this gonna be one of them movies. And so yes, the crash was very graphic, y'all, to say the least. People, they soon when they wake up, there's a lot of fluid on them, blood everywhere. People are dead. A lot of people are dead. People are freaking out, and they're crashed in the middle of this mountain. And it's definitely a tough scene to see. I mean, I can only imagine being in a plane crash, let alone living to tell the tale and then seeing the horror of the aftermath of when you actually crashed. People's brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, sons, daughters are dead right in front of them. And seeing your friends snatched out of the sky in the plane as well, that would just be horrific. Whew. It was a heavy scene. It was a heavy scene. But yes, we find out they get caught up and they're stuck on this mountain. There's nowhere to go. So they get out and they're trying to figure out how to what they're gonna do next, obviously, and they don't have much food. I mean, and they weren't prepared to be in the snow. I mean, look, they're in South America where it's warm, and they're going to Chile where it's warm. I think the only cold place in the country is the damn Andes Mountains. So they don't have coats, they don't have hand warmers, they don't have gloves, they don't have nothing, not a damn thing. And they didn't pack, to go on a hiking trip in the snow either. So they have no equipment, no food, no real water, no water of some, nothing. They have nothing, y'all. I'm telling you. It's like they went on the submarine down to the Titanic with just a box of Fruit Loops and maybe some Dasani water. Like it's looking peak. No pun intended either. But yeah, it's looking pretty bad. So initially I'm thinking, okay, I always try to put myself in their shoes. Like, okay, what would I do? When they land, it's like, okay, my first thing would be like to do would be like, okay, let's go down the mountain. But I could see why they don't because, they're thinking like, oh, we crashed, somebody's gonna come get us. And what they do is they set up the suitcases in like a cross so they can be seen, but they should have, I don't know if they could have put all the suitcases heavily or put rocks, but the cross could be hard to see from the sky. It's a tiny object to see, even if there's a lot of them. Maybe if they move some rocks, if that was possible, or just get more things to make a bigger cross per se. And because I mean, you can't start no fire, you're in the freaking snow. But yeah, they do that, and they're trying to get themselves together and whatnot and figure out what's going on. But then the next day, they see two planes come over, and they're like, "Oh, we're good, we're good, we're good." I was like, "Oh, okay, like they're gonna get rescued." Nah, y'all, they fly right over, didn't see a damn thing. Like they was looking at some ants, and they thought it was probably nothing. And I was like, that's the only thing that they see. It's crazy. And then they have this radio to also where they can hear what's going on. But soon they find out that the search is called off, and they're pretty much say that they're not going to be searching again for another, I don't know, 30, 40 days or something like that. I'm like, why would you go search again in 30, 40 days? I don't see why they wouldn't continue searching for a whole week straight up because one day does nothing. It does nothing. So that was, or a few days. I mean, it was ridiculous how quick they called off this search. I would have been tight too, and I'd have been losing my marbles already. But yeah, these people freaking out, and they're running out of food. They don't have much food to begin with, just some little chocolates and some beer. And so what happens? They find another part of the plane, and they get in there. They find, they're trying to get the radio together to contact somewhere anywhere close, and they don't get the radio to work. They don't get they don't find any more food in the other part of the plane. When they do search it, they find more dead people that flew out of the plane earlier, some more of their friends. I mean, it's sad, y'all. This is very sad. And this whole thing, you could see yours they do so much close-ups and whatnot. You feel like you're in the plane with them. You see them shivering. You feel the coldness of their breath. You see like their lips all chapped and just faces messed up, the blood. Everything is so visually clear, but also terrifying at the same time to where it's just it puts you in there. I feel like I got a VR headset on and I'm in the game, coach, EA style. So it was peak. And yeah, so I think me personally, I'm a little hasty. I would have been on the second, third day out. I'm like, you guys, we can't stay here. We got to go somewhere. I'm not about to stay here. I would have been on foot, gone. But I understand that, I'm sure somebody said, like, look, these mountains are thick. It will take us days to get through it. And I was like, okay, it would be safe to pack only if you travel to pack enough food for 2 weeks, I'd say 2 weeks, but they don't have that. And so you have no choice but to stay for a little bit and see what's popping. But knowing my goofy self, I would have been up out of there like the first, second, third day, coach. I'm gone. And what happens happens at that point. But you can't sleep outside in those conditions, or else you're gonna freeze to death. So you don't really have too many options. And so yeah, no one's coming. People are slowly dying. With some injuries and whatnot. It's very tough to see because they do definitely take their time going through the ways each people are dying, which is tough to see. But soon we get to like day 9, and they're counting the days each time too, so it gives you full transparency of what's going down. So when they started doing the days, I was like, oh, this gonna be a minute. I'm thinking like, okay, maybe 2 weeks tops. Little to know. Little said I was definitely high key wrong about that. But yes, about day 9, 10, they've run out of food, and the starvation starting. Or say day 7, I think they run out of food. But day 9 or 10, that's when it's really kicking in. Like they know, like they gotta eat something. There's nothing to eat. I mean, I think they start eating like a shoestring. I think I see someone eating that, and then someone's like, "Look, y'all, I'm gonna eat the pilot. I'm gonna eat the pilot." And I was just like, "Whoa." Yeah, that was heavy, y'all. So yeah, they kind of some people say okay to it. People are like, I cannot do that. There's no way. You can't even cook it. There's no heat. There's nothing. How are you gonna eat it? Like, I mean, I had no words for this. No words whatsoever. And yeah, they have no choice. Eventually, starvation's gonna hit, and if they hits them too soon, and it doesn't matter. Even if they eat after that, their body's gonna shut down on them. So they have to act now or act never. And so they act now. And so one thing also I kind of skipped over is with the dead bodies, they put them out in the snow, and that actually preserves their body being in the snow because it freezes them so it doesn't go bad or anything like that. And so when they do this, I was thinking like, how are they gonna eat the bodies if they're already out in the snow? But I forget that preserves the bodies. So that actually is like a freezer essentially, putting the food in the freezer that's gonna preserve the food even longer. And actually one guy was in a coma for a few days and they kept him out and they thought he was dead. But then he woke up thanks to the snow and he was covered in it, or else he would have probably died because, he had a coma and his brain needed to recover, and that's the snow did the trick. So I was shocked. I was like, wow, accidentally saved somebody. And this guy actually lasted the whole time. But yeah, they have to do the inevitable and start to do the cannibalization. And that was the hardest thing to watch in this whole entire thing was just they get in detail and close with this. I mean, they find a tool to like, some person's studying to be a doctor, I believe, and went to like, knows a lot of medical practice and whatnot. And he does the work of cutting up the bodies and, you know, they put them in these little socks and start chewing away or, swallowing away per se. I mean, it's tough, y'all. It's tough. I mean, these are people they know too. It's not some like strangers, except for the pilots. And I think the best case is honestly just to swallow. Like you can't chew. Like let your digestive system do the job, but don't chew it, or else you're gonna be just ugh. I couldn't. Ooh, I mean, I'd have to, but eating people, ooh, terrible. I feel for these people quickly. But yes, they have to start doing that, and after I think on day 17, they're still there, which I would have at that point. I'm like, why isn't anyone? I think you guys should go. I was saying this the whole time, like they should go. They should go. And they're in the remains of the plane, and then the avalanche comes and buries them in the plane even further. And they're all about to die, and so they slowly start getting up out of there, breaking out of the snow, like the Walking Dead. And this scene is crazy too, because it's just like you think it's over. It looks like it's over, but they were able to, several of them were able to get up out of there and save themselves, but some people weren't able to make it through this avalanche, and it was just like thing after thing after thing after thing. It's just, I'm like, where is the hope gonna come from? I mean, the only hope was the sunlight outside, but it was, a storm for 4 or 5 days. They're stuck in this plane, can't move, sitting in close quarters, losing himself in the music, and in the snow too, just done for. And the claustrophobia, if you have that, I mean, you're really losing it at that point too. I mean, some people you could kind of tell, and this guy's trying to break the glass of the window and he cuts himself and then end up getting infected too. But fortunately, they do eventually break out of it and they're able to get outside again and remove the snow off of the plane. And yeah, that killed off a good amount of people, and there's only about 19 left at this point, maybe around like day 20, I believe, when they start with 44, 45 people that went on this flight, and now there's only about 20 left. And so yeah, it's getting peak, and this is day 20 at this point. I'm like, how are they able to stay this long? I just am shocked. I'm shocked at the days. And so time goes on and on and on and on, and they're, still waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting until ultimately, I think, some guys say like, "Hey, we got to go do something. Let's go look around and whatnot. We're gonna search out and check out to see what we can figure out what's going on." And they makeshift some snow boots and a snow spear, not spear, like a staff sort of thing. I forget, I don't know what they're called. Um, Things that the hikers use to plop down. But yeah, they do that and looking around, and a few people go out and they see, it's taking them forever to get up this mountain. This mountain looks steep, y'all. And they just notice that, it's damn near impossible to kind of get out of here, and it's they have to wait for a rescue. But I think still at that point, it's like you just got to keep going somewhere. Just go somewhere and send a small couple people, 2 or 3 or 4 people out to go figure out and survey the place and see what the hell's going on. I mean, just get some help if you guys. I mean, I would say everyone go, but that's a tough call. That's just a tough call. I definitely would probably volunteer to go search and just get out of there and then come back, of course, once you get anywhere. Because if you keep going in a direction, you're going to get out. As long as you're not going north, south of the Andes Mountains, but even, you'll see something. But yeah, very, very hard to watch to get through this whole thing. But finally, they decide it's day like it's been 2 months at this point, and I'm like 2 months stuck up in the mountains in the freezing cold, eating human remains. I mean, they tear these people up. You see you see just bones at one point, y'all. Just bones, straight up. Walking Dead settings. I'm just like, what in the world am I watching? I am shocked. My jaw has dropped the whole movie. I mean, don't watch this movie while you eat. That's all I gotta say. Do not do that. And maybe watch it with somebody. Don't watch it alone either. Because I was watching it with my buddy, and we were just both shook. Shook in the cold sense and in the viewing sense. But unfortunately, yes, around day 61, 62, they three guys finally agreed to like, oh, look, we got to get out of here. We got to go find something because we're not gonna last too much longer. And they just they're over it pretty much. But one thing what was good to see before I get into it is nobody seems, I was worried that people were going to start turning on each other and start trying to kill each other just because they're losing their minds. That never was the case and it never happened, thankfully. Um, you see a lot of films kind of like this and people turning against each other and it just turns from bad to worse to ugly. And I'm just glad that did not happen. And they all kind of kept, they have honestly some nice lighthearted moments where they're joking with each other, laughing, uh, being, trying to look at the bright side of things, which honestly, kudos to them because with the conditions they were in, it's easy to just be downwrought, disrupt, downwrought, downright downridden and distraught each and every day being stuck on this mountaintop. But they actually have some find this camera and they take pictures and whatnot, which are real, eventually become real photos that document the time up there, and they use this obviously showing in the film again, once referencing back the cameras again, which was really kind of cool to see because they did it to a T on what the photos were, to the smiles in the pictures, to the depictions of everything, to the things they were wearing. I mean, everything down to the smallest detail, y'all. It was definitely impressive. But yeah, these three guys get up and they're like, all right, we're gonna go find something and come back. Well, it takes them about 3 days to get to the top of this big old mountain, and they think, okay, we're at the top. Like, we're gonna see, it's gonna be land before time settings. We get over there, we gonna see a whole new world, and we gonna see something. They get to the top, y'all, and all they see is more mountains for miles and miles and miles and miles as far as the eye can see. I mean, it was just they just they couldn't believe it. They just sat there for a minute, just like, wow, this is it. But so yeah, they kind of just come to the realization like this is going to be a lot more difficult than we could have ever imagined. Way more difficult than sitting there, I think, and waiting. But one of the guys says, "Look, I'm gonna go back and tell the people what's going on. You guys go ahead. Good luck." And they go their separate ways. And yeah, so the two guys venture forth and they travel for the next 7 days and they finally come across some green, and they see a river. And I could only imagine like the emotions and the things going on in their mind when they see, get the rush of the river water. They see the green lands. Like they probably were just won the Super Bowl. And when they get to this river, they see this cowboy pop up on them. And he throws something to them and asks them to write what the hell's going on. And they write it and throw it back. And he takes them to this little hut and gives them food. And when it looks like a nice little meal, he's hooking them up with. So this dude living, one of those ranchers, living literally alone in the forest. No family, no friends, just him and his horse doing his own damn thing. And yeah, luckily this dude finds him, and that's kind of where the 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 story kind of changes its tide. And I think within the next day or so, they come and rescue the rest of the people. Now, in the movie, they had two helicopters come rescue everyone else. But what actually happened is one helicopter came, got about 6 people, because they only brought one helicopter for some strange reason when they knew how many people were still up there. Didn't make any sense. Not in the film, but actually what happened. And then the next day, they brought another helicopter. So the people there had to wait a whole extra day. I mean, I would have lost my shit. I would have been like, y'all taking me on this helicopter right now. We getting up out of here. I'm getting out of here today. I don't know about y'all, but I gotta go. But at the same time, it's like, look, we can wait one more day. One more day. What's one more day when they've already been there for 72 days? 72 days, y'all. Stuck in one spot, freezing, eating your friends and family for three, over 2 months. Insane. Insane. No phones, no games, nothing. I mean, maybe the radio, but that's about it. So yeah, it was peak, but yeah, they finally got rescued, and it was just a beautiful sight to see. I mean, I was getting emotional watching that part. Just the relief. I could finally just like breathe out a sigh of relief because I thought it was never gonna end. I didn't know how the movie was gonna end. I assumed they got rescued just because, all the clues hinting towards of what they found and whatnot, but it could have been on some Titanic except where they found the remains and the pictures and everyone was dead. But yes, they were able to save 16 people total from this treacherous accident. And yeah, that's kind of the whole entire story in the film. This film was, based on a true story, of course, and I looked into it a lot. And everything in this film, they had an old film that was made many years back called Alive, but from the things I've seen, this movie depicts things more raw and gory and truthful to what actually happened rather than that older film. And this one, used all uh, actors from Uruguay and Argentina rather than the older film used American and Canadian actors, which I'm just like, why would you use that? That makes no sense. And they shot it, the old film in Canada, but this film they shot at the exact location of where the wreck was. It's crazy. I was shocked. So they really got it down to a T. I mean, like I said, the actors were amazing. The cinematography was amazing. The direction was amazing. Everything was just. It was very hard to watch. It was very hard to watch. You just like, man, like it's just it's horrible to watch. But it's one of those things where it's horrible, but you can't take your eyes away from it. I compare it to kind of like the first Saw movie where they're stuck in a bathroom and the dude's chained to the dang toilet. They're in that scene. They're in there the whole entire movie, but it's like you can't look away. Similar to I was saying Lost at first, but there's not. This is not Lost. Saw is kind of the only Saw One is the only similar film I can think of off the top of my head, but that's just where you're stuck in a spot and you can't move, and that's it right there, you know. But yeah, fortunately, yes, 12 were able to, or 16 were able to survive and live to tell the tale. There are many autobiographies made. I mean, the media storm was crazy afterwards. It was a miracle. It's like, they found Tupac or an Aaliyah on the island and they was just waiting for someone to come rescue them, but nobody ever found them type settings. If something like that happened, but these people weren't celebrities by any means necessary. But similar settings though, if that were true. But yeah, I mean, the film left me inspired by what the human body can withstand, what the power of, belief can bring you, and just the resiliency of people that we're not going to take no for answer, and we're not going to meet doom when doom was knocking on its door. And yeah, it was. This is something I think that should be shown in a lot of elementary schools and history classes. I don't know why I've never heard of this before. I'd never known about this before. I feel like this is like a worldly thing that should be known just as much as, anything, to be honest. I mean, just because I don't live in South America doesn't mean I shouldn't know about this. And it doesn't revolve American history in the least bit, but this is just an amazing story. I mean, this is an impossible story, and I never even heard of anything close to something like this. So I'm definitely shocked, but I'm glad I watched it, and I'm glad I know about it now. To Then it opened my eyes, and just like if I'm going through something hard and I'm going through something super, against my favor, I can kind of think about this and be like, wow, like these people went through this. I can kind of do whatever I put my mind to if I just believe, push, have hope, have heart, and don't ever give up. And these people never gave up, y'all. So yeah, moral of the story I think is just don't give up. Whatever you're trying to do, if you're trying to, you know, make a YouTube channel and you can't get subscribers, keep pushing out videos, keep trying, keep, the tenacity and the determination up. If you're trying to make varsity on your high school team and your coach, you're just not you're not doing what you think. You're not getting the job done. Just keep working, keep working, keep working. If you're not getting that promotion at your job, figure out a way to make things work for how you want them to be. You know, I think I think this is definitely, after watching this film, it's very inspiring to kind of keep going. With the new year here, new goals and whatnot, some people might feel like they're behind in life. You're not behind. You know, I mean, the people on this could have just after that happened, just kind of just chilled for a long time and let it define them, but they didn't. I mean, one guy went to be a doctor, one guy went to be a race car driver, and these people lived long, meaningful lives after this experience happened to them. You know, and it just goes to show you that they didn't let this one thing stop them, and they continued and to move on and press forward, regardless of what was thrown at their way, and it made them even stronger, which is insane. So definitely keep pushing, y'all, man. That was the moral of this story. Keep pushing, keep fighting, don't ever quit, don't stop ever, because next day could easily be your last. They were planning on going to this game, and then the next thing they knew, they were crashing the mountains, and their whole world got lifted, put upside down. But yeah, great movie, y'all. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. The only reason I ain't gonna give it a 10 out of 10, I don't give anything 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 is like impossible. I'll give it like a 9.3, 9.4, 9.5 settings. That's as high as I'll go. Yeah, yeah, no, it was amazing. The acting was amazing. The cinematography was amazing. The realism was amazing. The the bluntness and actually goriness of what actually happens and the sights and sounds amazing, just to from a cinematic viewpoint of things. I mean, this is a pretty much a bibliography to a sense of the incident, but a lot of autobiography, bibliography movies, autobiography, not bibliography, autobiographies, or they change a lot of things. They change a lot of things, and it just things seem off. This Everything I've seen so far and looked up online, it's as close as you possibly could get, as close as you could get to it. I mean, the pictures they shown, the people were in the exact same spots, making the exact same faces with the clothes, like I mentioned earlier. It was just so spot on. Where this movie is probably gonna win a lot of awards. It's gonna win a lot. They could have even done it with English actors, which I'm glad they did it, because I really kind of get a sense of what actually was going down and what was, you know, the realism of the situation. So if you're watching it, watch it how it is. Don't put on the English dubs. Watch it how it is, and just you'll see what I'm talking about, y'all. So I appreciate y'all for joining me for this movie review of this amazing film, Society of the Snow. Check it out, y'all. It was a journey. It's hard to get through it, not gonna lie, but it's worth a watch, I'd say. So appreciate y'all for joining me. Till next time, we out here. Peace and blessings, and have a wonderful rest of your day.